Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never-ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing.
Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 491 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. How's it going? Are you living a life that you love, like you can't wait to get out of bed? If you aren't, do you at least know that you can? It's true. And most of the time, it doesn't even take a big change in your circumstances. It just has to be a change in you, which is completely doable. So keep hanging out here with me twice a week, and we'll do it together. Okay, there's not one of us that has lived a life free of mistakes. I mean, we all make them, and when we make them, we usually deal with the consequences kind of immediately. But then for some of us, our human tendency is just to beat ourselves up over and over by reliving the mistake in our head or beating ourselves up with the language that we use about ourselves in regards to the mistake. Even if it was years ago, we will still do things through the filter of that mistake. If we don't let our past go, it a lot of times will become a weapon that we use against ourselves. If you think about it, the past can be the source of a lot of pain in so many areas. Just this last weekend, we went to our favorite lake in the whole world. It's Lake Ouachita. It's in Arkansas. It's the second cleanest lake in the nation, and it's secluded and quiet and surrounded by trees and rock walls. It's beautiful. So we went with some really good friends of ours. We have spent many weekends at the lake with them, a lot of which involved their kids when they were younger. We have a lot of good memories there. But this time, it was just the four of us, and we had such a wonderful time. I mean, the weather was unbelievable. Now, at one point, one of our friends looked lost in thought, and I asked him, I was like, "What's on your mind?" And he said, "Well, I was just thinking about all the times we used to come down here and we would have a ton of kids with us." And we reminisced for a little bit about some of those stories, not in a bad way, but in a fun way. I mean, he wasn't sad about it. He was just remembering. And it made me think about how a lot of times when we dwell on the past, if we allow ourselves to long for it, it makes us sad. But memories are gifts, as long as we don't discount where we are now by making the past seem better than the present. I love that we're making new memories in this place in Lake Ouachita, where we have a lot of fond memories from the past. See, the past doesn't have to be painful unless we dwell on it and view it as being better than the now moment. And that's a sure way to make yourself feel sad. I know, because I've done it. I mean, growing up, we would always go as a family hiking to a place called Fall Creek Falls. And it was just one of our favorite things to do. I mean, we had the best time. We created a lot of memories there. Well, the first time my husband Eric and I went, and I was an adult and we weren't with my immediate family. So we weren't with my mom and dad, my sisters and my brother. And so I found myself feeling really sad because I just kept thinking about all the times like, oh, we did this when we were there, or this location is what we did. And we weren't with my family, and I was feeling really sad. Instead of focusing on the present and the people that were with us at that time, I was all in my head about the past, which was making me sad almost to the point to where I felt like crying. Now, it took me a little work, but I eventually shifted my thoughts and we had a wonderful time. But it was all about me changing because the circumstances were not changing. My family wasn't on that trip and they weren't going to be. So I had to shift my thoughts about the reality that I was in, which I did. And look, there are obviously times that you're going to feel sad. And of course, when it makes sense. When this past weekend was over and we were leaving to head back home, we were pulling away from the cabin. I said to Eric, "I feel kind of sad." To which he laughed. He said, "I do too. A lot of times when we're packing up and heading home after a fun trip, it feels sad." And we just let ourselves feel that for a moment. And I realized that that's a real feeling, and we have to let ourselves feel those real feelings. Those are authentic in the moment feelings. And if you give them a chance to be felt, they'll dissipate pretty quickly. But what we don't want to do is create sad feelings by dwelling on the past or organizing about the future. We don't want to live there, right? Those are two things that can really rob us of happiness, is dwelling on the past and worrying about the future. And we do it a lot. It's as if our brains were wired to do it. And for some of us, they are. But we can change that by noticing that thought pattern and breaking it. So just like I was saying earlier, that I love that we're making new memories in a place where we have lots of old fond memories, that's a positive way to acknowledge the past without dwelling on or attaching a negative thought about it. And as humans, it's really normal to have emotions, and feeling sad is one of those emotions. I mean, there are times when, of course, it's appropriate to feel sad, but what we don't want to do, like I said a minute ago, is live there. And a lot of times, the way we live there is by dwelling on the past, whether it's reliving and beating ourselves up for a past mistake or dwelling on past memories to the point where it makes us really sad. Now, I've learned enough now that if I'm feeling sad, I ask myself, what am I focusing on? And a lot of times it's some past or future worry or some comparison I'm making. But all of that is usually just in my head. And when I acknowledge that and shift my thinking, it's a lot easier to be happy in the moment. I read recently, and I didn't know this before, but every person, whether they know it or not, or whether they like it or not, have faith. It's just that some have faith in fear and some have faith in love. So where is your faith? It's a question I know I'm pondering. But my challenge to you this week really is to just notice when your thoughts are taking you somewhere in the past, and maybe that's why you're struggling to be happy. Sad feelings are a part of life, but living there is a choice, and it's often a choice made by dwelling on the past. Share this with 3 people who bring up fond memories for you. I love you guys. I'll talk to you in a few days.
Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.